Good evening, everyone, and welcome into Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
And I'm Craig Blanton.
Craig, we have a packed show as we always do. We are live here at Creekside Studios at the Yak Shack. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We're starting today with a story that should basically chill every single person listening to the show, because over the weekend the FBI stopped what could have been one of the deadliest domestic terror attacks on American soil in decades, if ever. Explosive drone, sniper team, a plan to storm the White House, targeting the UFC event that the President of the United States was attending on his own 80th birthday. From there, we're going to go to the Southern Poverty Law Center that's got themselves in even more trouble, it sounds like. Colorado's sanctuary law fight is getting a little weirder, Craig, and a brand new Iran peace deal that's already cracking as we see it. So let's get right into it. But first, we have some breaking news as we went on the air tonight. It appears that the Iran World Cup team is being forced to leave the U.S. after their tournament opener, an apparent change of plans. There's not really any news why, and nobody is saying who is forcing them to move and to get out of the country. But you had a theory about what this might be all about, Craig, before we went on the air.
Yeah, all these foreigners that are in watching the World Cup, they're getting on social media and saying how great it is to be in America. Freedom of movement. They talk about driving from state to state to state, and they don't got to show papers or nothing. The restaurants, the Costco. One guy's going on a rant, not a rant, but a good rant. I guess he wants Costco in England. Um, all those kind of things, all the sights they're seeing, the wide open spaces, and then you add in when the Iranian soccer team played in Australia and 5, 7, however many it was, ladies abdicated to Australia and said they don't want to go back. I think the Iran men's team, especially with the war going on, they don't want any of their men to not come back to Iran. So
Yeah,
I believe is it true there's a week between every match?
Yeah. In the first round, there's about a week in between each round.
So
After
they flying back to Iran, so they won't leave the country. I mean,
Yeah,
they won't.
so essentially the regime is basically saying, hey, we let you play. You can't say we didn't let you play, but it just goes to show you the oppressive nature of what is happening.
Yeah,
Really, after originally being slated to spend the night, this is from Fox News coming on the air, originally being slated to spend the night in Los Angeles following its World Cup opener on Monday, the Iranian men's soccer team was ordered to leave the country as soon as possible. Coach Amir Galinoui said it was ordered to leave the U.S. and return to its training base in Mexico only a few hours after opening its politically charged tournament by playing to a 2-2 draw with New Zealand on Monday night. The coach didn't say who ordered the Iranians to leave earlier than planned. The team had expected to spend the night in California to maximize the normal recovery process after its opening game, only to be told after the match that everyone must immediately get on a plane and go back to Tijuana. I also think that they probably feel like with the peace deal coming down at this point, that there is a possibility that these individuals may try to, leave and stay in the country and request asylum. I think it's a distinct possibility that they may have already heard that may be happening, and that's exactly why they did this as well.
yeah. And I wouldn't blame them. Who would want to go back to a country that
Oh,
you stone women to death because a little bit of their hair is seen,
yeah,
or you hang people because they're homosexuals, or throw them off the top of buildings? I mean, why would you want, if you got an opportunity to leave, why wouldn't you do it?
yeah. It genuinely makes no sense why
And
you wouldn't. And now we see all these folks.
and they're going to Mexico,
Yeah, they're going to back
Tijuana, Mexico, which is party capital of the world,
and
instead of
it's
and
right by the
unsafe.
hotel, by the way.
Yeah, and instead of staying in Los Angeles.
And the only reason that could be is to prevent people from
Asylum.
trying to seek asylum
Yeah,
outside. So
because we're probably trying to get them to do asylum here in America to make Iran look bad.
why wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah,
everything is a game, right? So
exactly. It's all political plotting.
we will move on to tonight's biggest story. UFC Freedom 250 was a high profile event held at the South Lawn of the White House, tied to President Trump's 80th birthday weekend, and meant to kick off this year's festivities for the 250th anniversary of American independence. They've been talking about this is going to be a month-long celebration. The event drew an estimated 4,300 attendees on the lawn, and then over 100,000 people in the mall, if you will,
On the
including about,
ellipse.
including about 1,200 active duty service members, as 14 fighters competed inside a wire mesh cage on Sunday night. A temporary outdoor octagon, which they are calling the Claw, which is actually pretty cool,
Yeah.
was erected on the South Lawn. The highly secured event cost an estimated $60 million and was attended by Hollywood A-listers, sports legends, and high-ranking government officials, including the President of the United States. All of the funds going to set this off were, Paramount and UFC. So the tax dollars.
Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace. That's why there were so many advertisers. I will say we had a couple people in our comment section say, well, but they spent, $60 million in, having all of the security and everything else. Most of those security guys are already on salary. They're being paid for a lot of that as well.
They're being paid whether they're sitting in the office, drinking a Coke, or they're out on the field protecting Americans.
Yeah.
And now it seems like it's money well spent, don't you think?
It's going to sound like it really was. Craig, just to absorb that for a second, the South Lawn of the White House, President Trump's 80th birthday, 1,200 active duty service members were in the crowd. It's an extraordinary target, an extraordinary level of security that somebody still tried to defeat. What's your gut reaction to what we are hearing now about these individuals? They say there may have been as many as 26 individuals. 5 have been arrested at this point. Your thoughts on what you're hearing so far?
This is the rhetoric from the far left and the left, constantly saying, and you can go as simple as Comey doing the 86-47 in the beach. The other day, some crowds of people stomped an 86-47 in the ellipse grass. Of course, that made its cycle on the internet. All this is, not only the military guys there, but we had at least 7 Medal of Honor winners, and I believe the VP was also in attendance. So it could have been really bad, but this is the rhetoric that constantly calling Trump a Nazi, call it a Nazi administration, a fascist. What's Bernie Sanders says, an oligarchy's coming soon, but he's been saying that since I've got video of him saying it since 1972. That an oligarchy is soon. I had to look up what the hell an oligarchy was.
I don't know if you saw the counter protests that they had going on with the singing and the Barbara Streisand.
Yeah. And they tried to shut that down. But there's so much vitriol.
Yeah.
It's not I don't think it's against America. I think it's just the left and the media in Hollywood have bashed Trump so hard. They've tried so hard to get him that it's now in the crazy people's brain that they've got to be the ones to take him out. And as this goes along, when it broke this afternoon, these guys are across the country. This isn't just some little pocket in D.C.
No, they're in every corner. And some of the things that they were saying, that once they arrested them and they interviewed them, some of the things were wild. And it was, and we joke of the fact that we're, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists all the time. These guys were believers. They were true believers. And so, you're wondering how much of and they're not, these are 19 to 26 year olds. These are young people,
Americans,
radicalized Americans.
Well, they're young Americans. This isn't foreigners. This isn't Iranians coming over here or a terror cell. These are Americans that have been radicalized somehow. I mean, they trained in Mexico. There's in the indictment that's been released so far, these guys trained in Mexico. They got safe houses. They planned out I guess you're going to go into detail about what they were doing.
I want to go into that.
Well, go ahead and get that.
Yeah, so what we are finding out is the FBI disrupted an alleged plot targeting the UFC Freedom 250 fights at the White House that included explosive drones designed to target buildings in the area to spark a mass evacuation. The alleged plan involved using explosive-laden drones to hit buildings near the event, force a mass evacuation, and then steer crowds towards a pre-staged sniper team where essentially they would mow down individuals. This wasn't just the president. They wanted everyone, all of the high-value targets that were there. A second wave was then allegedly planned to storm the White House gates. This was not a vague idea. They had maps and plans, things of that nature. This was a tactical plan with specific phases. Bomb buildings using drones, force thousands of panicked people to flee directly into a kill zone of waiting snipers, then storm the White House gate in a second wave. Craig,
multiple snipers. This isn't This isn't just one crazy dude up on top of a building.
At least 26 people were
Yeah,
were
so the pictures that you're gonna show and the pictures we've seen in the indictment, they've got specific areas they're supposed to be in. They've got them colored in with purple dots and stuff, and they were more than targeting Trump. They were wanting to take billionaires out, important people out, and I guess the military that was attended and the 7 Medal of Honor winners, they were wanting just total chaos. And fortunately, our great FBI was
Yeah.
all over this because they were trading messages on Signal. And what did you ask me, Kyle?
If they figured this out through Signal, what does that tell you?
Signal is not as
It's not as secure as you think it is.
secure as you think it is, and there weren't no embedded people inside of these Signal chats like it was when they tried to take down J.D. Vance.
Right.
When he was bragging on the first hits of Iran. This is the FBI has now infiltrated, and I'm sure the CIA and every other 3-letter agency in the federal government has infiltrated Signal now.
Yeah. The part that makes me stop cold is the herding people towards snipers. That is a terrifying, almost horror film style image that you get in your head. It wasn't designed to. This wasn't designed to cause a panic and then let people get away. It was designed to use the panic itself as the weapon.
Right.
And that level of premeditated cruelty, that's hard to even process.
It's like you see in the movies where the mad bomber will blow up something, then he waits on the firemen and the ambulances and the police to get there, and then he gets his real target. He has his secondary bombs blowing up to take out the first responders. This is the same thing. They want to create the panic with hitting some buildings with some explosive laden drones, and then because that area is so tight, it would be like shooting fish in a barrel.
It's exactly what it was going to be.
And that image you got right there, that's in Nebraska, I believe. Can you read the text, Kyle?
The complaint further alleges that Shepard provided a picture to the group of an old church in Nebraska. He instructed the other members to take back roads or the river down to the pickup location. Later that same evening, Shepard also provided locations in the area for drone launch points and sniper positions. The only legitimately, I think there's always levels of security, but the reason this was foiled, as many of them are, Tyson Proper's mother contacted the local county sheriff's office to report concerns about his behavior and communications online, including officers in Ohio, Cincinnati, Franklin County, Ohio. She had observed him engaging in physical training and overheard conversations and purchases too that he had been having with an online group. Proper allegedly told her he couldn't say exactly what they were planning, but described, quote, recon and, quote, hit and run missions, which she believed meant conducting shootings and leaving. Proper was allegedly planning to drive to Fredericksburg, Virginia, to meet up with other members of the group, taking his weapons, body armor, and ammunition, some of the things that we have shown you already. And ammunition, including an AR-15. FBI Director, let me get that up there again. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed all of this and said, on June 10th, FBI and our law enforcement partners became aware of the potential threat. And thanks to the rapid action of the FBI, our partners in the Department of Justice, and a multi-state operation, multiple individuals are now in custody, at least 5 that we know of, allegedly planned, are now in custody that allegedly planned attacks were being stopped cold.
And you can go to the Federal Office of Public Affairs and read the whole thing. That's where we got a lot of this information, these photos. It's not the direct indictment. Cal could probably find that, but it's a summary that they released to the press showing these pictures. And I'm going to tell you, this was long-term, well planned out. And if it wasn't for that one guy's mother who said something, it might have gone off. It might have happened.
A mother calling the sheriff's office because her son quit his job, started physical training, and was talking about hit and run missions. This is not just playing.
You know what hit and run missions are?
Yeah.
They go in and spray the place down with bullets, take off,
and then take off,
block, and then hit another block and do that. Yeah.
That single phone call may have prevented a mass casualty event at or outside the White House. The other thing that people need to understand is let's just say that they had measures in place, which they did, to protect the individuals inside the claw on the South Lawn, as they always do. But there were 100,000 other Americans out
Right.
on the mall, and when panic sets in there, then you have real concerns. You have things you have to really worry about at that point. That single phone call could have prevented that. What does that tell you about trusting your gut when someone close to you starts acting strange? Craig,
Yeah.
you actually mentioned that you had a situation similar to this
Yep.
in your
I
life.
had a guy I had met. He started following me on Facebook, so I followed him back, and he was threatening President Trump in his President Trump 45 all over social media. I mean, some really crazy crap. So one day I was at work and I called the Secret Service office in Louisville and talked to them for a few minutes, and they said they were already on him. There had been a number of phone calls from Frankfurt, and they were going to go visit him that night. And he was a loner, had a lot of health issues, and he died shortly after that. But that's one of those things. The mother did something. So if you see something in this crazy world that we're living in now, if you see somebody threatening somebody or something, you've got to call law enforcement.
Yeah,
There's no two ways around it, because it could be your friends that get shot.
yeah. You see something, say something. Especially this day and age. You know, eh, better safe than sorry.
Yep.
That's all that you can say. 5 people have been charged: Tyson Proper of Ohio, Daniel Eskridge of Missouri, Abraham Hermosillo Alvarez of Nebraska, Brian Omar Roa, and Michael Allen Thomas of California. But investigators identified 23 people as part of a potential network of plotters, uncovering signal chats with at least 23 users discussing pre-operational activity. Alvarez allegedly operated under the moniker Shepherd and served as a key organizer, directing staging locations, sniper and drone positions, escape routes, and communication protocols. These guys had Google Maps that they
Yep.
had sent out to everybody
And
with
they had blue.
locations.
Did you get those?
Yeah,
The locations with blue dots where each
yeah,
of the guys was supposed to be stationed.
yeah.
This is like a damn movie.
Yeah, even identifying the Thomas Jefferson Memorial as the cleanest exfiltration route. Investigators recovered screenshots from Proper's iPhone detailing plans shared among approximately 19 individuals using Signal and Simple X, including aerial photos and maps of Washington, D.C. and the White House. Craig, right now, 5 people are charged. 23 have been identified in the network, maps of the White House, specific sniper positions, an escape route through the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. This was a coordinated operation with division of labor actually going through. I mean, imagine if these guys use their superpowers for good. How concerned should we be about the remaining 18 people identified but not yet charged?
Well, I'm sure they're on them.
Oh, I'm sure.
They wouldn't have went public with these 5, these ringleaders, I guess you want to say. But there's going to be a heck of a lot more than 23,
Yes.
because they're going to have support also. Who did they get their weapons from? Because there's pictures of full military gear with 4 mags across their chest, mag in the gun, military helmet. They had to get all that stuff coordinated from somebody. And then the real kicker is, who's paying for it?
Right.
These guys quit. One guy quit his job. There's some pictures of these fellas too. Somebody had to be funding them to pay for their travel, because from California, Colorado, Nebraska, they're coming from all over the United States to meet in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And then they're going to go back to Nebraska. Somebody's got to pay for all them plane tickets. Yeah. And unless you're the dumbest criminal in America, you're not going to buy your own plane ticket.
No. Well, I mean, criminals are usually pretty dumb.
That's how they get caught. But
here,
something this sophisticated, it's got to have a financial backer.
This was a situation where, had the mother not connected, I genuinely believe that this could have been a really bad deal. Authorities state the operational motivation for all individuals involved is rooted in an anti-government ideology. The group organized in March 2026 via a TikTok group called Vanguard of the Old, expressing ultra-religious and anti-government sentiments, grievances regarding corruption, the handling of the Epstein files, and data centers taking up water in communities.
Yeah, real nut jobs.
Things that we've talked about, multiple times. Proper admitted the attack was designed to jumpstart a revolution in the United States.
A coup.
Yeah, exactly. Who's gonna?
I mean, think about it. They're going to hit the White House.
Yeah,
they're going to hit Congress. There's only one thing: you want to overthrow the government. It's like at there's movies where you see this kind of stuff
White House,
happening.
yeah.
White House down and London's falling, White House falling, America's falling. It's kind of along those lines. And if they got 23 that's involved, we don't know. It could be more snipers.
Yeah.
They could overwhelm the Secret Service around the White House grounds. You don't know.
Yeah, it's very, very scary. Members believe the United States needed to be torn down so it could be rebuilt. The complaint alleged Proper said that although he was not going to the protests in order to shoot people, several other members of the group were intent on violence. This is where we have to be very, very careful and precise. The grievances mention government corruption, the Epstein files, data centers consuming local water. Those are concerns plenty of peaceful Americans across the spectrum share. Fair. The distributing, the disturbing leap at that point is the conclusion that mass casualty violence is the answer to all those things. How do we talk about this responsibly without dismissing legitimate frustrations or excuses of what was allegedly planned? It seems like at this point in our country, we have lost the plot. We have gotten to this point where we cannot have discussions about big things without one side or the other becoming violent.
Right. And right now, the violence is on the left.
It
You
is.
can hear you always hear them talking about white nationalists and these different things, but I haven't seen white nationalists burn cities down. I haven't seen them take over blocks and take over police stations like they did in Portland and Seattle. Those are far left wing Antifa groups, and I saw right before we went on there that they arrested a bunch of Antifa guys for something. I didn't even get a chance to read it yet. I just saw the picture and the headline. So these kind of things have manifested on the far left. They keep saying the SPLC that we'll talk about. They keep saying everything's a far right white nationalist. It's not. It's the far left. In their full black, they call it black bloc uniforms that they do. Those are the ones that are causing the terror across the United States, but the media will not call them out.
Investigators found numerous firearms, a trove of firearms and ammunition during searches of Eskridge, Proper, Roa, and Thomas's property. Eskridge's wife told investigators he described himself as a, quote, recruiter for the group and had amassed tactical gear in recent months and built a firearms range on his property about 3 weeks before his arrest. Proper recruited Roa and Thomas on TikTok before inviting them to a signal chat. Proper was charged with conspiracy to commit an offense against the United States, attempted murder against a U.S. officer or an employee, and possession of a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence. Roa and Thomas were each charged with conspiracy to commit murder. It's unclear whether the defendants obtained all of the drones the FBI said they had wanted to. That information has not been released. I'm sure it will be released at some point. But this is a terrifying idea. Listen, when they announced Freedom 250, UFC Freedom 250, you and I both said everybody's going to be on alert that night because you're going to have some of the biggest names at the White House. And I even said to you, I said, that place is Fort Knox. It is impenetrable to get in there. And these guys had a plan to do it, whether they would have gotten very far or not. I don't think they. I want to.
You don't know. Yeah, you want to think. You don't know.
That would have been stopped. But the 100,000 people that were out there just enjoying all of the renovations in D.C. Is celebrating, the 250th birthday of America. And I think that's the thing that terrifies me. Those aren't just conservatives or liberals; those are just Americans out there,
just regular Americans, and they were wanting to cause the harm because they know the media would have ended up blaming Trump for holding the event on the South Lawn.
Right. Had you not done that, people wouldn't have died.
Right. Exactly. And that's what they'd have said. They'd run him in the ground for weeks on that. But fortunately, the FBI came in and saved the day again. They've stopped numerous plots across the country. We just got so many going on, and there's too much. You watch The View, you watch CNN, you watch Don Lemon invading a church and saying it's free speech because he invaded a church. Go invade a Muslim church, buddy, and see what happens then. Yeah, I bet he ain't got the balls to do that. So it's too much. It's too much on the left going on, and nobody's calling it out. And finally, we've got some FBI that are doing their job, not trying to be political, just doing their job, and they saved a bunch of American lives.
Yeah, my takeaway from this, Craig, and I think I want to hear yours, but my takeaway from this is the system worked this time. This
Yes.
time, the bulletins that they had out that they mentioned, they were right. A mother trusted her instincts. The FBI moved fast across multiple states, and because of that, thousands of people who went to watch a UFC fight on the White House lawn went home safely. I think that's the thing that we have to take away from this. But as I tell my kids, my three older daughters who are adults and have jobs and are college and all over the country, keep your head on a swivel. I mean,
Yep.
we don't live in even the 1980s or 90s anymore. You need to keep your head on a swivel, and if you see something that makes you feel weird, then say something to
Yeah.
somebody. And that's the thing, is that you just don't know these days. And I hope everybody out there understands that that's not a conspiracy theory. We've just seen it too much. If you're a young person or even an old person and something just doesn't make you feel right, tell anybody, tell a family member, tell law enforcement, whatever. But this is why we say that, because
Yeah.
it saved
Well,
lives.
when my kids went to NKU, my son and daughter went to NKU, I put that thing on their phone where I could track them
Yep.
because I was paranoid because they're NKU's near Cincinnati.
Yep.
Cincinnati's got a massive gang problem, and because I banned them from going to Cincinnati crossing the river. Period. Anyway,
Right.
but one day my daughter was taking a back way home with some of her friends at midnight, and I said, "What are you doing? You're walking through a tree lined area on dirt. You're not walking on a sidewalk where there's lights and everything."
Yeah.
And then my son was one night sitting out in the parking lot area about 1 in the morning, and he wasn't moving. And so I said, "Well," so I called him and said, "Get back to your damn room."
Yeah.
And you can, I was driving my wife crazy because I was helicopter dad hard. But
Yeah.
the first time away from home, they've never lived in an environment like that, and I was doing what a good dad does, and I didn't give a crap what anybody said.
No, and I think that's the thing that you have to understand. My daughter goes to school at the University of Louisville, and she lived right on campus. And I think most people would be afraid of her if they came across her, because she's just that mean. But
Yeah,
I say that jokingly, Olivia. We all know that. But wherever you are, she's a absolutely great kid. But wherever you are, see something, say something.
yeah,
From now on, and that's what worked. And Alvi, you're absolutely right. These drones, it's a whole new problem. Craig, you
yeah.
fly drones, and you run
I
into people
fly
who are flying
drones.
drones by you. So
Yeah, I fly drones. A lot of people fly drones, and I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to ban drones. They're going to ban hobby drones
yeah, I
from
think it's a real
from
possibility. It's
flying
unfortunate.
in.
Because it's so much fun.
Yeah, it'll be just commercial drones, and they'll be tracked, and they'll have to report to the I've already got to register my 2 drones with the FAA. They've got the numbers, they can see them in the air, all that kind of stuff. But if they're talking about the drones like Ukraine and Russia are using and Iran's using, those things are half as big as a Cessna, a single engine Cessna. They're big planes. But the one thing that nobody's figured out how to defeat yet is the drones that fly by wire, meaning there'll be a 10,000-foot spool of wire attached to the back of the drone, and electronic jamming will not bring those drones down.
Yeah.
The only thing is you hope that wire gets snagged on a tree because the wire's not up in the air. The wire's dragging along the ground. So they've got to plan out their area, and it could get snagged on a tree. Then you can bring it down. But a drone is already proven to be a terrorist best friend.
It is, and I think one of the other options, instead of getting rid of all hobby drones, is if you buy a drone, it's going to be like going into a when you purchase a firearm at a
Yeah.
firearms dealer. You're going to have to register yourself and that drone and everybody else so that they can track it at all times. It's a real
Yeah,
possibility. It's
right, yeah,
unfortunate in a world like that, but
yeah, you're not required to register it, but
right.
there's called a trust certificate. Like if you get pulled over or you're flying in an area you potentially shouldn't be, but you unknowingly do it, you go in some airspace you're not allowed. you pull out your trust certificate and show that you're at least registered with the federal government.
Yeah.
That's the minimum that you can do. And most everybody I know got it. And then you can get what's called a Part 107 license, which is just a hair short of a pilot's license.
Yeah,
and you learned all the rules from that.
Yeah, and that's when you can fly super high, right?
You can fly. No, you still can't exceed 400 feet,
Okay.
but you can fly and get paid for it. Like, well, I do it for free.
All
You
right.
can earn a salary off of it with your Part 107.
Well, that story about the White House plot is genuinely a reminder of how seriously law enforcement takes domestic extremism in this country right now. Our next story is even weirder, and it's about extremism too, but from a completely different angle. Um, because the organization that has spent 50 years branding itself as America's premier watchdog against hate groups is now facing federal fraud charges. And a bombshell New York Post exclusive just revealed exactly who prosecutors say was secretly bankrolling a neo-Nazi with donor money and sharing a house and a bank account with them. So let's get right into that.
And we're talking millions of dollars, not $50.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. A top Southern Poverty Law Center official is accused of helping funnel $1.2 million. This is significantly more than some of the numbers we were talking about previously.
Yeah.
But this is wild. $1.2 million in donor money to an informant in the National Alliance white supremacist group who was also allegedly her lover.
Yeah.
The New York Post reports this executive is Heidi Beirich. I'm gonna butcher that. Beirich, a 58-year-old fascism expert. She's an expert because she's sleeping with the guy. He was the director of intelligence at the Alabama-based anti-extremism nonprofit between 2012 and 2019. Her alleged boyfriend's name is known only as F9 in the indictment. The superseding indictment alleges that around $140,000 was deposited into a joint account owned by F9 and employee 2, who is this Beirich, who owned a house together. The employee allegedly used donors' money to pay the couple's personal living expenses. Craig, this story just keeps getting wilder and wilder. We first broke this news as it was coming out just a couple of weeks ago. This is not a story about an organization being soft on extremism in some abstract policy sense. This is an allegation that a senior official at what has always been considered, even by those on the right side of the aisle, as America's most famous anti-hate group, was living with and financially intertwined with a member of a literal neo-Nazi organization. What's your first reaction here?
Well, it's like we talked about when this first broke last week or whenever it was. The organization has gone they've gone full circle now. There's not enough hate groups out there for them. So now they're paying hate groups to incite more violence. And part of this thing is they paid a guy at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville to stir up the mob. Paid him $252,000 or $272,000 over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
And so this is a long-term, and this was like in 2013. So this has been going on a whole lot longer. And none of the attorney generals until Todd Blanche, acting attorney general Todd Blanche, came along. And there's so much stuff coming out that I see now why the other side of the aisle does not want this guy as the full-time attorney general. They want him in that acting capacity because there's a limit, 120 days or something like that. This guy is bringing so much forward.
Did you see the executive last week for Mr. Fair, which I thought was an interesting last name, when they were asking him questions and he wouldn't admit that certain hate groups.
Congressional hearing.
Yeah, but he wanted to say focus on the family was worse than these no terrorist organizations. I mean, there comes a point where you lose credibility, right?
Yeah, the SPLC has lost all credibility. Yeah. They can no longer call basically every white person in America a Nazi.
Yeah,
get right down to it. Every group
Nazi.
But and they don't talk about Antifa. They didn't talk about BLM. They didn't talk about any of these other left groups that have caused violence for years across the country, much worse than what I mean, the Unite the Right rally was a terrible tragedy,
Absolutely.
but that's the only thing they can bring up about the right. The
Well,
rest of it is all left wing
I was
protest,
yeah,
crazy. Remember that group out of Louisville with that dude that was marching around? Everybody's packing an AR, and
yeah.
they've had no training on weaponry, and they're threatening everybody. But then they finally disbanded.
I think it's hilarious that everybody's a Nazi except the guy with the Nazi tattoo.
Yeah,
It's
Plattner.
it's
Yeah,
it's nonsense.
yeah.
Right?
He's
The
got
average American is going, "What are we even talking about?"
Yeah, they call everybody on the right a Nazi,
Except
uh,
the
Trump and everybody else, but they support a legitimate Nazi with a SS tattoo over his right breast,
yeah,
and and like I keep saying, he covered it up. He didn't remove it, so it's still there. It's just got ink on top of it.
it
I don't
does.
know if that means anything, but he did not get rid of the tattoo.
There's not
He's
there's not a
still a
lot of
Nazi.
there's
He,
not a lot of tattoo removal places in
In
Bangor,
Maine, that's what he said, but yeah, he's traveling the country
right? All over. Yeah.
raising money all over the place, and, Chuck Schumer, who went on a rant today about the Iran deal, um, he's been
Talk about
he's
somebody that
been
has
with him
credibility.
twice. He's been with Plattner twice up in Maine, and, other senators have supported him. Ro Khanna in the House supports him. I mean, they don't care that the Democrats, the Nazi, they just want to try to get a Democrat senator in there so they can get power.
Yep.
And today, Susan Collins has taken the lead on some
Yep.
polls that came out this morning
And
over Van Plattner.
if she's tied, she's ahead.
She's
That
ahead.
that's
If she's behind 5, she's ahead
yeah.
from her history. Yeah.
Fairness, there is a caveat that matters here. We always want to make sure that we're fair and honest here. Employee 2 is believed to be Heidi Beirich, according to the New York Post. It's not confirmed by name in the indictment itself. The Post connected the dots through job description, dates, and other identifying details, and multiple other outlets have independently reached the same conclusion. But Beirich herself has not been criminally charged as an individual in the case yet. The
Not yet.
SPLC has an organization is what faces the federal charge, and this is a superseding indictment to the multiple indictments that they've already received as an organization.
Right.
This is exactly the kind of distinction that we have to be careful about here. The reporting is very strong, but there is a difference between identified through investigative journalism and formally charged, and so we want to make sure that everybody understands that. Beirich, it's important to note also, Beirich earned, get this, $190,000 annual salary and benefits from the SPLC. What's going on with these nonprofits? These
Well,
people making $200,000 for these nonprofit groups.
I ran across this, Kyle. Another reason they might be promoting all these right winger guys to cause violence. After the Unite the Right rally, they had raised $51 million in 2016. In 2017, they raised $130 million. So all this money come pouring in after they spent all weeks and weeks on the United. Well, they're still do it today, so say years and years.
Yeah.
But is it because they've become irrelevant because they've called Southern Baptist bad people? They've called Methodist bad people. They've called everybody and their brother a bad person.
Yeah.
But is it each time they do it because it brings more money into them when it's a self-perpetuating cycle so that you can make $190,000? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, in Alabama.
For a nonprofit.
I mean, you can live well. And then to pay your boyfriend another $160,000,
yeah,
whatever it was, for your joint, they're living high on the hog.
Sounds like BLM.
She joined the SPLC in '99 and became a director of the Intelligence Project in 2012. She left in 2019 as part of a massive shakeup when many top leaders departed amid accusations of, get this, racism and sexual harassment within the organization, with critics charging the group was run mainly by white personnel, mainly white female personnel,
right,
while black employees were relegated to lower ranks. Beirich was not publicly implicated in those particular scandals at the time. This was not a junior researcher. This was the head of the SPLC's entire intelligence project, the division specifically responsible for tracking hate groups. We're talking about the person at the very top of this group making $190,000 to be an expert. If these allegations are true, that is not a blind spot where maybe I should have put up a Chinese wall. Maybe I should have, try to avoid some ethical problems. That is someone who has fundamentally understood exactly what she was allegedly
Right.
doing
She was
here.
the boss.
Yeah.
She's the boss. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah. Employee 2 wrote an article based on material stolen from National Alliance headquarters in 2014 and then paid off an informant to take the blame for the robbery. Those same copied materials were the subject of a 2019 lawsuit by a lawyer, Glenn K. Allen, who claimed his name was wrongly associated with the National Alliance, costing him his job. That case was thrown out in 2021. William White Williams, the 78-year-old chairman of the National Alliance, confirmed to the New York Post the details in the indictment match what occurred to his organization and suggested some members who wanted to leave the movement were instead persuaded to remain as paid informants. That's the
Sounds like a cult. Sounds like a cult, doesn't it?
but being forced by this organization to say when they wanted everything to get out of it. And these organizations are straight from hell. They do the most deplorable, awful. These white supremacist groups, they are disgusting. But there were people.
Don't forget, the first indictments that came out they were funding the KKK.
Right. I mean,
God Almighty.
These are some of the worst groups ever. And you had people who were trying to leave, and they were saying, instead of leaving, I'll pay you some money to stay in here. And so they stayed in.
Yeah, it's a cult.
Some of them, allegedly, some of them even died during these situations. Some of them are in prison now. It's a sick cycle that they perpetuated through here.
Well, once they keep digging into it, I wonder, the ones that did leave, did they get disappeared?
It's entirely possible. Between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million, allegedly, in donated funds to individuals associated with violent extreme groups, including the KKK, Aryan Nations, and the National Socialist Party of America. That is the actual Nazis. They are funding actual Nazis.
Correct. Yeah, they're funding the Nazi Party of the United States of America.
A grand jury in Montgomery, Alabama, indicted the SPLC on 11 counts of wire fraud, false statements to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering. Acting Attorney Todd Blanche, the guy you just talked about, said, quote, "The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. Federal prosecutors allege an SPLC employee actually encouraged two people to remain in the KKK even though they wanted to leave, and offered to pay them $1,200 monthly salary to stay."
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
Well, yeah, but it's that perpetuating cycle.
Yep.
They've got, I looked it up a second ago, they got like over 500 hate groups listed. And if they're paying all of it, say they're just paying a tenth of them.
Yep.
That's enough to stir up the pot to bring more donations in. And apparently, that's what a whole lot of it is. They stir up the pot, get things going, and then they get a massive amount of donations coming in.
You're absolutely right, Kel. That's we wholeheartedly agree with you. Speaking of Brian Fair, the guy that we mentioned earlier, SPLC interim president and CEO Brian Fair, you'll love this, called the charges provably wrong and defended the informant program, saying, quote, "Taking on violent hate and extremist groups is among the most dangerous work there is. To be clear, this program saved lives. SPLC will vigorously defend ourselves, our staff, and our work. We will continue to fight hate." The SPLC said it shared a 45-page event alert with the FBI ahead of the Charlottesville rally, a rally that they've been proven to have funded the individuals who got people to go there.
He recruited people to attend the rally and then stirred the pot. Yeah.
The SPLC's lawyer, Abby Lowell, a very famous attorney, said of the superseding indictment, "This apparent superseding indictment attempts to shore up the flaws in the initial charges, but it changes nothing. More than a dozen SPLC donors told The Intercept the indictment felt farcical, with longtime supporter Mary Wynn Kling saying, 'We knew they were paying informants.'" I don't understand that. I'll never. They are not law enforcement. I don't know why they think.
Let me ask this: we've got FBI, we've got CIA, we've got supercomputers, we got satellites. What makes the SPLC think they are better than what our federal government, our local FBI agents in each state, local marshals in each state, local police in each city. What makes them think they're better?
Well, let me
than-
pose this question to you. You worked in a sheriff's office, and I've got friends and family who are law enforcement. I'd love to ask Jeff Farmer this question.
Yeah.
If you had a couple of guys in Frankfurt who wanted to help out in the drug deal, the drug trade, they wanted to take down drug dealers. And so they went out and they tried to buy drugs on the street. And every time they were able to buy drugs, then they turned those names over to the police. What do you think the police would do with those guys?
Oh, they'd arrest them
They'd
because
arrest them.
it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
It does not work that way.
You can't be Joe Citizen and say, hey, Mr. Policeman, I'm going to go buy some drugs and give you the people's names. Well, you're toast.
Yeah.
You get the criminals that got charges hanging on them to go buy the drugs that the drug dealers know are drug users. And just like every TV police show you see, they send informants in that are actual criminals into the criminal organization to pull them. They don't recruit Joe Blow off the street to risk his life for a little bit of marijuana or a little bit of heroin so that they can get a name. It don't work like that. That would be crazy to even try it.
Well, and the thing that I think people don't understand is the reason you don't do this is because you're not law enforcement. You don't have law enforcement abilities and
I don't even know why SPLC exists.
No, but then when you do that, you put people at risk of getting killed.
Yep.
If someone in the Ku Klux Klan or the Aryan Nation, and maybe they did, find out that somebody is an informant, you know what they do to informants?
Oh,
They
yeah.
kill informants. And then they kill their families. And that is a terrifying thing. You're forcing people who are struggling financially, making them stay in, be rats, and you're not even the feds. You're not even people who can protect them. This is asinine thinking.
And you don't see the executives that got all this money coming in. You don't see them getting their hands dirty. They're paying people to do it for them.
They're not out there doing it.
And they're covered because they're paying them in cash. And that guy can say, well, Mr. Smith and the SPLC's paid me $10,000 to go do this, to rob this bank and make it look bad. They're not going to believe that and say, well, you can't prove it in court, right, Kyle? You got to have documentation. You can't, hearsay don't work.
The SPLC can do all they want to give it to FBI and everything else. None of that information is going to be able to be used.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to be, I mean, that's all hearsay. I mean, that unless you're embedded in the organization, and if you are embedded in the organization, all of that information is going to be questioned based upon these crazy tactics.
By the defense attorney, by sharp defense attorneys. Because when was the last time you heard SPLC brought down a hate group? Ever?
Well,
they can accuse you of stuff and say they gave
and ruin you.
Right, and yeah, exactly, ruin you, and there's nothing you can do about it because they got millions of dollars and you don't.
Yeah. The SPLC was among the progressive organizations that found themselves in the Trump administration's crosshairs after the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The SPLC drew particular ire over a 2025 report describing Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA, as a, quote, case study of the hard right.
God, it's unbelievable.
Critics of the SPLC, and all that does is that then lights a fire under the crazies like those people in the first story we had.
Yeah,
because that's how it works.
Exactly.
And so critics of the SPLC say that this proves what they've argued for years. Defenders point out this prosecution comes from a Trump DOJ with a stated goal of going after organizations it considers part of the political left. And that timing is not a coincidence. Yeah. This is where we have to be most careful as a balance show. The underlying facts, the money, the relationships, the shell accounts are either true or they aren't, right? And a jury will decide that.
But if you've got the let's say a left-leaning president in office,
which we did for 4 years.
Yeah, and all this stuff goes on, they trust everything the SPLC says, and they don't go looking into the organization. And then when somebody on the right becomes president and then they start going after them, well, they say, well, it's just politically motivated. Both sides always say it's politically motivated instead of getting to the heart of the problem, the people that are hurting America.
Yeah, my takeaway of this should make people, regardless of political affiliation, want more transparency.
Yeah,
be damned. Yeah. Asking for donations. Look at their books. Where are they spending their money? If you're
Follow the
raising
money.
right, if you're raising money to fight something, donors deserve to know exactly how that money is spent. And I think that a lot of people go to these dinners, they get these awards, they, give donations and they make themselves feel good, and they never look to see how that money is
Yeah,
spent.
they give awards to themselves
To
within their group.
themselves.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And if you give a bunch of money, they'll give you another award. That's how it
right.
works.
Yep.
So,
You're the greatest guy since sliced bread, but,
right.
thanks for the $500,000 donation.
Yeah. That story about the SPLC raised real questions about accountability and transparency in organizations that claim to fight extremism. Our next story raises a different kind of accountability question. This one's about who actually gets to set immigration policy in this country. A blue state just quietly reversed a controversial policy after attorneys and Republicans cried foul, and it has reignited the entire national fight over sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, and what Republicans are now bluntly calling a new American Confederacy. Colorado has reversed a controversial requirement that attorneys using the state's court e-filing system certify that they would not use court information to assist federal immigration enforcement efforts. The verification requirement was removed from state law last week after Colorado Democratic Governor Jared Polis signed House Bill 26-1276, creating a carve-out for attorneys seeking to use the filing system. Picture this. You're a private attorney in Colorado with nothing to do with immigration law. You do probate law, right? Or you do I don't know, transactions or something.
Yeah.
You need to file routine paperwork in a civil case because everyone has to use the same e-filing system. And to even access the state's electronic court filing system, you had to sign a legal certification swearing, Craig, that you would never share information with federal immigration agents. I mean, that is crazy to me.
Well, you're a lawyer. Would you do that?
Absolutely not. That is so ludicrous to me that you would require attorneys to take an oath. Number one, that you would make them take an oath that doesn't say anything beyond
Doesn't
follow.
it go against your, when you're sworn in as a lawyer after you graduate college, doesn't
Well,
that go against that oath that you take?
you have to protect the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and you have to uphold the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, right? And in Kentucky, this is so people who don't know, in Kentucky, if you take an oath, you also have to swear that you haven't fought in a duel or served as a second for someone in a
Yeah,
duel.
a historical thing.
It's
Yeah.
a historical thing. They don't really think people are fighting duels. But you have to uphold the laws of the Constitution, right? Now, they're telling you not only that's one thing, but now ignore that part of the Constitution that says that those are the laws of the land, right? Whether you're right, left, independent, whatever, that is a shocking overreach by a state at this point. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Oh, well, I mean, not being a lawyer, I can just apply common sense, and that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, and then to get their legislature and then the governor to sign it, what does that tell you about the government of Colorado? If they're
Yeah.
that extreme,
This is
that
the same government that was saying that when violent Trinidad gangs had
right.
taken over. I'm having a hard time talking tonight. Had taken
They
over whole apartment complexes, that it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, just say TDA. Everybody knows what that is.
Right.
But yeah, they took over apartment buildings. The videos came out where they're going up apartment to apartment, kicking doors in, banging on them. If the people won't come out, they drag them out and beat them with the butt of the gun. And they take over entire apartment buildings and sometimes a whole block. And the Colorado police, at whatever level it was, just let it happen because they didn't believe that it was happening.
Yeah.
But now you can see with
Now
as
you
it's
can see
gone along,
how deep it is.
yeah,
Right.
and the violence they've caused across the country. Finally, we got an administration that is going after these guys, and just last week we hit their leader. We, being the U.S. military, hit their leader and blew him to smithereens. I think we showed that video, but
Yep.
we're going after them in Venezuela too. We're not just trying to get them out of Colorado, New York, Los Angeles. We're going after their leadership back at the home base where all the money's sent.
Multiple attorneys spoke out in April after the state's e-filing system required them to certify they would not share such personal information with the federal government. a requirement Colorado officials said stemmed from the Protect Civil Rights Immigration Status Act of 2025. They always make it sound so flowery.
Right.
Colorado Springs attorney Ian Spear told Fox News Digital that Colorado appeared to be, quote, unlawfully co opting private attorneys across the state to further its anti federal sanctuary policies, end quote, while noting that he doesn't practice criminal nor immigration law, but couldn't sign into the state court system without saluting the resistance, as he said. I think
Yeah.
that's a great line, by the
Let
way.
me ask you, being a lawyer, Kyle, the phrase "saluting the resistance," it sticks to you like glue. This guy who just wants to do his job, just like you're an attorney, you just want to do your darn job, but then describing the experience and excess in the court system, e-file, as used throughout all the governments in America, like he's being forced into a political statement.
Yeah.
What does that framing feel like to you, and is it rhetorical overreach?
Well, I will say this. We as lawyers tell people all the time, don't sign anything unless you understand it, and don't sign anything that you don't agree to, right? Even
Yeah.
when you're online and you're clicking through things, I just need to get through this because I want to get to the next screen or whatever else. We tell people, don't sign it if you don't agree to it, because you will be held to these standards, right?
I read that crap. I'm one of them that reads all of it.
So I love the way that he phrased this. I'm saluting the resistance. The resistance being the blue state policies of anti-ICE and all of this stuff. And that's exactly what they're wanting you to do. They're wanting you to pledge your allegiance to their blue state policies.
Yeah.
And it is unfathomable that they would require you to do that just to use the e-filing system. Every state requires you now to use an e-filing system. I think every state now. In Kentucky, you cannot file anything at the clerk's office anymore. Unless you're a pro se litigant. But if you're an attorney, you have to use the e-filing system. And so this would be a check mark that they'd say, you understand you can't share any information with.
It makes you think Colorado supports terrorism, because remember when the TDA thing, when they were taking over those apartment buildings and the feds came in, she went to court to stop them.
Yeah. Yeah.
She supported those guys, those thugs coming in there and terrorizing her city.
They're just hardworking individuals trying to make a living in our American.
Yeah, they made a good living. They chased. I mean, think about it. You lived in your apartment forever. There's no houses across the country. Everybody's short of housing.
Yeah.
And these guys just go in armed to the teeth with machetes. And it's worse being chopped up by a machete than it is being shot by a gun. And their AR-15s, rifles, shotguns, everything you could get your hands on, pistols, and they're terrorizing these people. And the mayor is supporting them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel helpless.
Who's the radical then? Is it the far right or that radical left?
Yeah. Well, the House Judiciary Committee got involved. They took note and notified Colorado officials in April that their immigration-related certification wrongly, quote, commandeers private attorneys into Colorado's radical sanctuary policies, handcuffs federal officials from enforcing immigration law in Colorado, and violates fundamental free speech principles. Representative Tom McClintock, chairman of the Judiciary Committee's Immigration Subcommittee, said, quote, I think they've crossed the line into obstruction by forbidding attorneys access to the court system without this outrageous pledge under penalty and perjury that they wouldn't report any information for federal immigration enforcement purposes.
Okay, so again, not being a lawyer, just watching Law and Order all the time.
That's right.
The phrase under penalty of perjury jumps out. It wasn't a polite suggestion. Signing falsely could carry real legal consequences, right?
Right, absolutely.
Does knowing it was a sworn legal certification change how serious it lurks?
Absolutely, because if they didn't intend to prosecute people or to cut people off from using this service, then they wouldn't have phrased it the way that they did.
Right.
They would not have said, we can punish you criminally, put you in jail if you lie on this. If you don't intend to ever use that, then you don't write it that way.
Right. And we'll take just a second. Did you read all 25 pages you signed when it was more than 25 pages?
Oh yeah, it was.
And you're damn straight I did, because I want to make sure the land attorney and the bank earned those thousands of dollars that I paid for paperwork. I didn't want it to go through in 10 minutes and me just start signing all this. I actually read it. So yes, I did.
Yeah. Well,
because I'm a nerd and that's what nerds do.
You are a nerd. Kel asked, to what ends? What is the actual goal for Colorado that this all facilitates? I believe that this was a chilling. They wanted to provide a chilling effect to legal experts, to lawyers, to prevent them from following the laws. Now, the other thing that you have to take into consideration here is there are attorneys who are licensed in Colorado who work for the federal government. So imagine what that does.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So you have attorneys who are working for the Justice Department, or you have attorneys who have cases as a contract attorney for the federal government, or you have somebody that's in the Social Security system that is an attorney that is doing, I don't know, disability cases or something. I'm just throwing
It could just be a ambulance chasing attorney.
You absolutely could. But how do those individuals, how can they abide by this? But let's say that you're involved in a case that it's not your client. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're a divorce attorney and you're representing the wife, and the husband is a Argentine national that came up through. And I'm using Argentina not derogatorily, just picking another country.
Yeah.
And they came into the country illegally. They came to the country illegally, and your client says, I want to notify ICE that my husband is harming me. He's harming my children. We're in danger. I want to notify them. And she entrusts you to contact ICE to protect her and her family.
Right.
You don't represent him. You do not represent him, but you know that he is not an American national and is here illegally based upon what your client is telling you, and she has signed an affidavit for you. What this law would prevent you from protecting them,
because you'd have to sign it to get in to file the
file something
in e-file. Yeah.
And imagine if they're protecting Tren de Aragua in all of these different cities in Colorado. You don't think that they're not going to knock some divorce attorney off in Colorado Springs because he reports somebody to ICE?
They bump off judges in Venezuela right and left.
Time.
Yeah, so, it's nothing for a judge in Mexico and Venezuela and other Central American countries to take out their elected officials and their judicial people.
Yeah. Alvy, I see your comment, Alvy. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I see your comment. They probably sold my loan, although Craig and I both bank at local banks that don't normally sell our loans. But FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, was prepared to file a First Amendment lawsuit against the state if it did not repeal the provision, saying Colorado made the right move, removing the certification requirement, which was a clear viewpoint-based regulation that violated the First Amendment. FIRE senior attorney Greg Grubel added, quote, "The government by law cannot condition an attorney's access to courts on a promise not to use information for a lawful purpose the state disfavors. Kudos to Colorado legislatures and the governor for acting quickly, but it's troubling that the state attempted to do it in the first place." And he's absolutely right.
Well, not the state, the legislature, the body, the people elected did it, and then the darn governor signed off on it.
Yeah. McClintock stated, quote, "I remain concerned over what other sanctuary jurisdictions that comprise the new Confederacy may take into the future, citing the Supremacy Clause's assertion that immigration falls under federal authority." As we said earlier, this Colorado fight sits inside a much bigger legal war that we have talked about before. The DOJ has sued Colorado and Denver in May 2025, alleging the Supremacy Clause violations and arguing Colorado's sanctuary policies, as they have sued other cities.
Denver and Aurora, Colorado is where where it started.
Yeah,
because Denver had pushed TDA out of Denver.
Correct.
They went to their surrounding suburb cities.
Yeah, that lawsuit was actually dismissed by a federal judge on March 31st, 2026, who ruled that dual sovereignty protects the state's right to set its own policies. That decision has been appealed, will very likely make its way to the Court of Appeals and then eventually to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I was doing a little research while we're talking. Denver Mayor Mike Johnson also dealt with TDA arrests in his city and touted aggressive policing, but faced more criticism from others in his community. So he was getting mad at the cops for protecting the citizens, which What's the police number one job? To protect and serve.
Yeah.
So,
Governor Polis's office said Colorado is not a sanctuary state and regularly works. And he stated this in the House Judiciary and the House Oversight Committee. And as well as the mayor of Denver is not a sanctuary state and regularly works with local, state, and federal law enforcement. If the courts say that any Colorado law is not valid, then we will follow the ruling. McClintock's concern is particularly acute in regions where local sheriffs want to cooperate with ICE, but state law forbids it. That tension is playing out in red counties inside blue states nationwide, including California. Chad Bianco, a great example of that. McClintock's House panel is now working on a measure that would allow victims of sanctuary policies to sue those jurisdictions for damages from the release of illegal immigrant criminals. Craig, what happens, and they talked about this in the House Oversight Committee, Chairman Jamie Comer and others, what happens is an individual is in a custody of a local jail. They have an ICE holder.
Yep.
They will
explain what that is so that people know.
An ICE holder is essentially it's essentially like, do not release this guy. We want to come and get him
after he serves his term.
After he serves his time in state. And a lot of states will contact ICE and say, "Hey," or a lot of local jails, "Hey, come and get this guy. We're getting ready to release him."
Usually it's a 48-hour notice, isn't it?
His serve out time is on Friday. It's Wednesday. Come and get him, right? And if they don't, you've let them know they didn't show up. But what was happening was they were contacting ICE, and they're saying, "This guy's being released right now."
Yep.
And they were putting him out in the, letting him go into the parking lot. And these ICE agents were coming in on two wheels, one guy, a law enforcement agent, suffered a severe head trauma.
Right. That was the one where they kept saying it would only take 2 ICE officers to get them if the jail held them.
Right.
Or give them 48 hours notice.
Right.
He ended up taking 7, and one of them suffered a grievous injury where his head got smashed into the concrete.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that it's come to that because you will understand, and you I think you'll agree with me. Most law enforcement guys will work with other law enforcement guys. They're corrections wise, they're happy to work with law enforcement, vice versa, right?
They depend on each other.
But when you put a policy in place like this that says you're not allowed to work with them, then who suffers? Who suffers?
The public
suffers. They're the number one group that suffers in this, and that's the thing that let them have their fight in ICE courts and all this other stuff, but don't let the public suffer. And there's documented history of individuals who have been released from federal custody who
committed murder the next day. But I looked up some more stuff. Denver is a sanctuary city. Governor Polis says Colorado is not, but the U.S. Department of Justice and federal authorities, primarily due to state laws that limit local cooperation with federal enforcement, especially on civil matters, they consider Colorado a sanctuary state, even though Governor Polis says they're not. Your actions prove what you are.
Right. You can call yourself one thing, but
that's the same thing Illinois says they do too, but they don't.
You can keep your doctor if you want to keep your doctor.
Sure. Okay. All day long.
That sanctuary law fight is a great example of domestic legal battle. Now we're going to go back overseas to a story that is just changing by the minute. I know you probably have some updated information on this. And this is the story that's dominated our show more than any other this year, and that is the Iran war. Almost as soon as the ink was metaphorically wet, the entire thing started fraying over one specific explosive disagreement between the United States and Israel about Lebanon, as we talked about last night.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of senior officials and analysts are now openly questioning whether this deal actually solved anything at all. We'll get right into it. The United States and Iran announced an initial deal to end their war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Trump announced the agreement Sunday evening, just before the fights, by the way, saying, let the oil flow. Iran's Supreme National Security Council confirmed the deal was reached following a difficult and intensive period of negotiation lasting several months. The initial pact, a memorandum of understanding, starts with reopening the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for nearly 1/5 of the world's oil and gas supplies. Both sides will then begin 60 days of more negotiations about sanctions and Iran's nuclear program. The agreement will be officially signed Friday at the Bergenstock Resort near Luzern, Switzerland. After more than 100 days of war, Craig, missile strikes, a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz that sent oil prices climbing worldwide. There's finally a potential deal on the table. What's your first reaction to seeing a signing ceremony actually happening this weekend, even with everything we're about to get into?
I hope it does. I hope it holds. Iran has not honored a single agreement since the late 70s, not one. So we don't know if it could just be a waste of time. It could be more than likely it'll be used by the IRGC as propaganda. But we got to try. But what's funny is the news media and all these pundits out there were saying last night and this morning that it was a 14-point plan. But yet before that, all the big people that are doing the negotiations said nobody knows what's in the document but us and Iran, not Israel, not Lebanon, us and Iran. So this morning, all the news stations and all this stuff are running. Well, in the New York Post, we got a 14-point plan. Well, this afternoon, it become a 12-point plan. So it solidifies what we said yesterday and many days before. Nobody knows what's in agreement. You can speculate all you want. Chuck Schumer blew up like a little baby this morning saying he doesn't know what's in it. Well, why do you think he don't know what's in it?
Right,
he will run to the press. He will run to the press immediately before the ink is dry on his fingers from holding that piece of paper. Look at what this does. And it doesn't matter what it signed. It doesn't matter if it said the IRGCs to commit suicide, every one of them before this agreement comes, they'll somehow spin it that this is wrong.
Yeah. Iran's top diplomat said Tuesday that the tentative deal to end the war with the United States would require, again, nobody knows what the plan says, but
Right.
Iran said to end the war with the United States would require Israel to withdraw from Lebanon, a condition Israel has already rejected and that could sink the agreement entirely, leading to the resumption of an all-out war.
Let's discuss that part.
What's that?
Let's discuss the Israel-Lebanon part of this that I ran through in at the last minute. Lebanon and Iran and Israel are not part of this agreement.
They're not, but yet but now Iran's saying if these third parties
right.
are not held to the same standards, then I mean, it's
and
a
crazy notion. They want to keep Hezbollah in Lebanon. They want them to keep the ability. They want Israel to pull out of southern Lebanon, which Israel controls right now. And they want Hezbollah to go back to southern Lebanon or southern Jordan and be able to bomb the crap out of Israel again indiscriminately. And as you've seen with the every ceasefire we've had with Iran so far, it's not a couple of days before they break it. Same thing will happen here. And they'll let them keep breaking it instead of the first time they break it, blow them to smithereens. Say, we're not going to allow you for multiple days to drop indiscriminate bombs and missiles on Israel. But for this deal right here, this deal is between us and Iran. Lebanon and Israel have nothing to do about it. Plus, Netanyahu don't give a crap because if Israel gets bombed, he's going to take his action regardless of what Trump says.
Yeah, well, Iran's foreign minister, boss Aragachi, makes me Domo Iragachi. Any military attack by Israel said any military attack by Israel against Lebanon from this point forward, as well as any continued occupation of Lebanese territory, which who's to say what that actually is, will be regarded by us as a violation of the Memorandum of Understanding. And Iran is drawing a direct line between something it cannot fully control, Israeli troop movements, and the survival of its own ceasefire with the United States. And this is the exact dynamic we've tracked for a couple of weeks now. Iran trying to tie the fate of this deal with Washington to what happens in Lebanon, a country Israel is not technically party to this agreement with at all. I mean, how is the U.S. going to manage Benjamin Netanyahu on something that he's already said, I ain't doing it?
Well, they've been trying to wipe out Israel for thousands of years. And now that Netanyahu's in there and he's got the most advanced military next to ours, he ain't taking it no more. He's going to go in there and he's going to do what he's got to do to protect his citizenry. we fight wars now based on headlines, like I've said 100 times. We don't fight to win wars anymore. We just do. If they bomb a truck or they bomb a building, that's all we do. We bomb another building, and then instead of hitting them back 100 times harder, to say stop doing this. And but I was trying to say Benjamin Netanyahu will not hold to any of this agreement the first time somebody attacks his country. That agreement will go out the window concerning him, and he's not party to it anyway.
Well, and I think the other thing we have to take into consideration is this directly contradicts what U.S. officials are saying. They're saying Israel's pullout from southern Lebanon is not even a prerequisite for the framework agreement with Tehran. So
it's just the media pushing that.
It's all media. It's some members of potentially the Iranian Guard. It's potentially members of our own Congress that are saying these things. On Monday, Israeli officials said troops would remain in a wide section of southern Lebanon they have effectively occupied over the last 3.5 months, forcing tens of thousands of residents to evacuate. Israel's far-right national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, said bluntly, Trump's agreement does not bind us.
Right. That guy don't mess around neither.
Yeah. And I don't know that you'd call him far-right. I think he would.
He's a hardliner. He's a hardliner, an Israeli hardliner. He's a hardliner bigger than Netanyahu is.
Yeah. Trump's agreement does not bind us. From a sitting Israeli cabinet member, this is about as direct a rebuke of American diplomatic authority as you can possibly get up to this point. We've talked about Trump telling Netanyahu, I call the shots. And then I think
that didn't work.
Knock at the F off was the phrase that he said over the phone the other day. This is Israeli's government answering back saying, not when it comes to Lebanon. Forget it.
Yeah.
So,
and Israel's trying to work with the Lebanese government to get rid of Hezbollah out of Lebanon.
Yeah.
And not let them go into Jordan or Egypt or Palestine or wherever, surrounding countries of Israel. They want them gone. And they want the Lebanese government to help them get gone so that the other Arab nations won't attack Israel for taking out Hezbollah.
Let's step back from Lebanon. Let's take a wider approach and ask the bigger question. Did this memorandum, which we have no idea what those points are, but does this memorandum actually solve the underlying problem that started this war, which is what we have now is we have a growing chorus of senior officials and analysts saying, no, what have we even accomplished? What did the last 4 months actually do? The memorandum potentially didn't resolve several critical issues that must still be worked out, including Iran's nuclear program. And it's going to have to be taken care of in another round of negotiations. And I think that was the main reason that we launched earlier in February. And I think even on some conservative ideas, people are saying, okay, what did we get out of this?
Right.
And I think right now, this 12-point, 14-point, 16-point, 20-point memorandum, that's not the ultimate goal, right? We got to buy time, good faith time. We're not going to lob bombs at each other, but it's only 60 days. I mean, this is a big deal, but unless the rest of it's worked out, it may all be for naught, Craig.
Right. Yeah. This is just the first of the agreement. It's basically to open up the Strait of Hormuz is what it is.
Yeah.
And from what I've read, now I have no clue. I'm just guessing what, the deal, because why didn't this administration go in and finish the job? That's what a lot of generals have said. Why have we not gone in and finished the job? But it's because of headlines. It's because of politics. We did blow their nuclear facilities. I think everybody admits that now. Yeah. On left and right admits that we did destroy their nuclear capabilities, their nuclear dust, or whatever you want to call that stuff. The enriched uranium is buried under a marble mountain and as noted the other day, the only two countries that could technologically dig that stuff out is America and China. And they might work out a deal to do that. Who knows?
They could.
But I'm sure China doesn't want a nuclear Iran either. I don't think anybody wants a nuclear Iran.
No, because you have crazy people.
You got crazy people that could just get China's not that far from Iran if you look at a map.
No, it's not.
It's not that far at all. So everybody in that region, they're scared of Iran, but Saudi Arabia, we've equipped militarily India, Pakistan, everybody but Iran around them, Turkey, everybody. They could go in and take it out, but they just don't. I don't know why they don't want to do it,
Yeah.
because Iran's a threat to everybody in that region, and they all know it. And
Yeah, you've mentioned him a couple times, but Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer pressed for more information and said it's
What a
been
loser.
nearly 24 hours
what
since
a
Trump
loser.
announced there was a potential deal with Iran. We still don't know what the details. In these high stakes negotiations, the devil is in the detail. I don't disagree, but he ain't gonna tell you until he
Well,
has to.
you look at all the Trump hearings, they go into the skiff,
Yeah,
the secret room where they take your telephones and everything. Soon as the guys go in there on the Democrat side, it's supposed to be secret stuff. Soon as they walk out, they've already got a press conference arranged that they walk out straight into a press conference and tell everything they just saw in the skiff. What's the point of even doing the damn skiff if they're going to run it? And you cannot trust Schumer. You can't trust any politician to not spin something to their side. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. They're going to try to spin it to their way. So if you want to get this most sensitive deal down that'll stop all the bloodshed, you got to keep it a tight circle until it's done.
The only other politician that I would trust is probably Senator John Kennedy. I don't know if you follow his TikTok. It's
of course I do.
Purely entertainment. That guy is great. Trump told French President Macron at the G7, I don't even know why he would, but he said that the deal's all signed with details to be made public probably pretty soon.
Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon.
Yeah. This is genuinely fair bipartisan criticism, not a partisan attack. A major international agreement whose text has not been publicly released, even as a signing ceremony is scheduled, is a legitimate transparency concern. But again, there is a decade of history here that has lent itself to make sure that we can't trust anybody on
50 years.
media or
there's 50 years of this.
Imagine that 60 years ago, when the government would tell newspaper and radio and TV guys, do not report on this until we tell you it's okay to report on this. You couldn't even think about saying that these days.
Right.
People are running to the TV.
Yeah, I love seeing the news. I laugh. I laugh when the news media goes, well, there's this secret jet that the United States is working on. They got a picture of it.
Right.
It's secret. It's being created in this secret hangar in this secret state in this secret location, but they list where it is. They show a picture of it and give every detail about it. Yeah. There's no way the U.S. government, by talking to the press, can keep a secret, because everybody wants to be first to get that story out. Everybody. Look, just like last night, we could have told what we knew about Cam Williams, but we told what we were allowed to say about Cam Williams. And now it's today that Cam's in a boot and he's shut down for the summer. And same thing with Frank Kepnang. They're both shut down for the summer. But if you're trusted, if you tell us something and you say, hey, hold off on this, we're going to hold off on it.
Yeah. And there's lots of stuff that you and I know that we don't let out. That's just the history of, my.
Well, we got to develop that trust factor.
Yeah, my professional work history, as well as you just being a good dude. We have a deal. We know that the deal reopens the Strait of Hormuz, genuinely significant for global oil markets and inflation. But Israel, not a party to the deal, explicitly rejects the Lebanon withdrawal. Iran says it's mandatory. Trump says it's not part of that deal anyway. The core nuclear dispute that started this war is pushed into a future 60-day window with no guarantee of resolution. And senior analysts and U.S. senators say basic details remain unknown days before signatures go on paper. Trump reiterated Sunday that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon and told the New York Times the U.S. could attack Iran.
He said the same thing this morning.
Yeah, could attack Iran again if negotiations fail to resolve its nuclear ambitions. And that's the deal in a nutshell. Peace for now, with the threat of renewed war.
And
reserve.
Let's see. Can you see that?
There's Holy moly.
It's $75.94 a barrel right now. It's down from, what was it, $114 a barrel?
$114, $116,
$39, $41 a barrel.
Holy moly.
Something is working with this agreement. And it's really dropped like a rock the last 2 days when this came out. So there's going to be good with it. It's just how it's spun by the politicians and how it's spun by the media and the pundits. The left will say it's horrible, the right will say it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Well,
And the only way we'll know is if we read beyond the headlines.
well, and gas prices dropping is going to make a big difference for the American public, and we know that an
In the
announcement.
economy.
Yeah, we know that an announcement is coming in the next few days regarding whether they are going to cut the interest rate again. I have a number of people in my text messages that are terrified that they will lower the interest rates at this point. They're saying that it's not necessary, that it would hurt the economy in the short term. That
And I don't think they'll lower it.
I hope that they don't. Although Trump pushed Jerome Powell out, basically for that purpose. But gas lowering across the country is going to benefit not only every American citizen, but it's going to start to help Republicans when it comes to midterms, things of that nature.
Right. Yeah, it's all politics, and but on the local side, we had one gas station rate today after gas has gone down $9 a barrel in 2 days. They raised the price of gas 30 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how they can, as a good American, how they can do that.
Yeah. I will say that there are some elections today.
Yep. 4 states, isn't it? 4 states?
Yeah, there's 4 states that have their runoff elections tonight. Georgia happens to be one of them. Let's see.
Senator Ossoff is up, I think.
He'll end up winning. Today's the 16th, so that would be D.C., Oklahoma, Virginia, and Georgia. I don't think there'll be any surprises there.
No states.
Make sure you stick with us when it comes to the general elections. Did you get a chance to watch J.D. Vance on The View today?
Yes, I did, twice. But before we go into that, let me say this. If you like what we're doing, if you like the depth that we're going into on these news media stories, especially going beyond the headlines and really doing research and dig it in, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Helps us out greatly. We got a bunch of new subs last night. This channel's starting to grow, so help us out a little bit and share it. Subscribe, click on that little notification bell so that you'll see anytime we go live. Like Kyle said, it could be an election thing that we come on at 8 o'clock at night, or it could be something that comes on at 1 in the afternoon. We don't know, but we're always here at 5 o'clock. So
we are. We are big agenda-free TV guys, and we've watched him for years. I believe as we grow this channel and do the things that we need to do, you're going to start seeing us a whole lot more when it comes to those things. In fact, on our primary night a month ago, we had 25,000 viewers, watching us. So, and we appreciate you guys watching us. We are news junkies, but we're fact junkies more than anything. Craig loves numbers. I love digging in to resources and things of that nature. We try to stay on here with as much as we can.
Yeah. What's my coffee cup say? Words talk and numbers scream.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And so now I've said all that, I forgot what you asked.
Oh, I asked you about The View. Did you watch The View today?
Oh, yes. I watched the VP on The View. And of course, in the beginning, they when every time J.D. Vance tried to reply, he was interrupted by one of 3 different people. Finally, they said, just relax, let him answer your questions. And, man, he dropped a hammer on them.
Every time.
Yeah. So, I mean, he put them in their place. And I think that's why the attorney lady, the one that's the
Sonny
Hostin, I think she interrupted him so many times. I don't know why he just didn't get up and walk out. Other than it would be, he's selling the book, of course.
Well, he's a better human than we are, too.
Yeah, he's a better human that he didn't say, will y'all please let me answer the question? Quit. I say 3 words and then hit me with another question.
He was on Hannity last night, and Hannity was pushing him like, will you just go ahead and announce that you are officially running?
Right.
You can't announce until your book's out, right? I mean,
and then they did show on one of the news things, President Trump saying, they asked him about who would he favor, and J.D. Vance or Rubio. He said, I'm not going to favor any of them but I'll tell you this, they'd be a powerful team to beat. And Rubio's already, and it's also said, Rubio said if J.D. Vance runs for president, he is not going to run against him. He's already announced that publicly.
Well, I will tell you, Marco Rubio, the memes of Marco Rubio that go around
That does everything.
every
Yeah.
time there's a new job opening, they,
And who's in his crosshairs right now? Cuba.
oh, well,
Cuba.
what did I text you last night?
Right. That's what I.
As soon as that deal came across, well, I guess that was Sunday. As soon as that deal came across on Sunday, I said, "Boy, if you're in Havana tonight and you're in
Yeah.
leadership, you got to be nervous.
Right.
You're next on the list."
Because they don't have nobody backing them up because Russia don't have enough
Yeah, they don't have
ships
any resources.
free to come to Cuba. China ain't even going to think about it.
Yeah.
So, and Venezuela's gone. So Venezuela can't ship them no oil. So we kind of got them boxed in already. And plus, there's Cuba's not known for going down and mowing down their citizens if they protest.
No.
And so many Cubans in South Florida and their families in Cuba itself, they want to be free. They want democratic elections.
Desperately.
That the regime of Cuba of keeping all the money that the charities around the world, the NGOs send into Cuba, but it never makes it to the citizens. They want that stopped. They want modern technology. They don't want to keep putting together 1950s and 60s cars to get around. And
I need that
I think it'll be as easy as it was in Venezuela to change leadership.
I look forward to the day that we can travel freely to Cuba and enjoy that beautiful country because it's
remember, thinking about that, look at what Iran was before the Ayatollahs, and look at what Cuba was before Castro.
Yeah,
these were vacation spots for the world.
Yeah. As always, Craig, anything you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered it pretty deeply tonight.
Yeah, we really have. Craig, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you here. You ask the questions that people are wondering when I'm talking a little bit about the stories in general, and you never let me get away with anything real easy. You make us answer those questions and dig in a little bit. My friend, I always appreciate it when you do that. To everyone listening on YouTube or wherever you may find your podcast, thank you for spending your evening with us, as many of you do every night, and being part of this project with us. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure you leave a comment up here. We do have John Boy give us some UK updates. Not much to give you right now, John Boy. I can tell you that practices are going good. Don't listen to those people who are saying, the updates from practice today. Listen, these are pickup games. These guys are getting to know each other right now.
Right, yeah, it's building the team atmosphere.
And I will tell you this, guys on the inside that I know who work with the programs, they are loving these guys. They are all a bunch of just goofy guys. You're going to love these guys. One of the things that somebody told me from Iowa State, that Milan Momcilovic is just a big old goober that everybody loves.
He's proven it with his Instagram post. You follow him on Instagram. He's hilarious.
He is, and he always dancing and all sorts of other things. These are kids enjoying life, but they seem like genuinely good kids. I think you're going to really love this team. So,
and
everything's good right now.
Last night I talked with Cam Williams' dad for I think 38 minutes, just because I'm a nerd. I'm precise like that.
That's right.
And he told us some stuff. And I asked Greg if it was okay to say this, but not that. And he said, sure, go ahead. And so we knew about Cam being shut down. We knew about Frank the Tank being shut down, but we didn't feel it was right to put it out there yet because it wasn't public. But it's gone public today. And, people said Cam wasn't around. He was back in Louisiana or something. He's at Wildcat Lodge. He's out on the floor with the players. He's at the practices. He's at the pickup games that they play, and everybody's still together. And don't forget that Cam played numerous games, played in the SEC tournament last year, but now they're just going to let his foot heal completely so that when the season starts in November, that he'll be 100%, Frank will be 100%, and the team will be 100%. So we can go in and kick everybody's what.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. If there is any other information we can provide to you guys, we absolutely will.
Yeah, we'll break in and do it, right, Kyle?
We absolutely will. If I don't, you'll ask me to. So that's that's
Yeah,
what's
I'll
going
call and say, "Hey, Kyle, we need to get
That's right.
this
We
out
need to
there."
get on. Go up to the studio.
Which is what happened last night after talking to Mr. Williams.
Yep.
We had information that nobody had that was confirmed. And I
Yep.
mean, how much more confirmation can you get than from a player's dad?
Player's dad.
No rumors to that one.
Well, subscribes if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Leave us a review anytime you want to under any of our videos. We even take your suggestions. Some of the stuff you all tell us. We've made some changes tonight based on some of the suggestions you all made. Make sure you share the episode because that helps everybody out. Until next time, stay informed, stay sharp, stay above the noise. You all have a great night. Talk to you all later.